Every day, my favorite words to say still makes me smile. Just like yesterday, I need you here really bad. Cause when you go, my heart is saying, my oh my, how the smoke in your blood keep me in the sky. I'm so high, my oh my, how the smoke in your blood. I'm so high, where are you now? In the rain, my angel came. In the rain, my angel came. In the rain, my angel came.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another Monday with Conversations with a Masterful Raconteur. I'm your host, Florida's own Barry S. McLeod. Today, I want to touch on a very, very sensitive subject, but I want to do it as light as I possibly can. All I want to do is get you to think about it, what I'm going to talk about differently. My topic for today is prayers, faith, rational, question marks behind each one. Your prayers, the faith that you have in your prayers. And I got some bullet points that I want to share with you that I want you to consider if they're rational or not. These are some bullet points, some things that I've talked about with some friends of mine, some people that we chop it up sometimes. We talk about some things and we challenge each other sometimes with our conversation. I typically don't, I avoid conversations with people when it comes down to God and church and religion and denominations and all that kind of stuff, because quite personally, I'm in touch with the creator of this world, and what other people do or don't do with that's really not my business. Sometimes it means something to me with certain other people that I care about or certain other people that we're friends, but for the most part, it's like they say, I can't get you into heaven or hell. That's individual. So I tend to stay away from this type of conversation, but I'm compelled to challenge somebody today. All right. Before I jump in, I want to remind you that I have a comedy movie that I just produced. I wrote it, I directed it, and I do a little cameo role in it if you've seen the trailer. It's called SheDaPlaya. And I am going to drop this comedy movie, on Thanksgiving Day. You'll be able to watch it at my streaming platform, bbingin.com. That's BBINGN.com. And really appreciate everybody's support in watching the film. This Saturday, we're having a private screening. All the actors and people involved with the movie are going to get a chance to watch it for the first time, and I'll get a chance to see how well I did with the editing, and they'll get a chance to see how well they did with their performance as far as acting in the movie. Some of our sponsors and supporters, especially some of our GoFundMe supporters, will be there with us, and our family and friends will be there. Hopefully everybody has that information in regards to when, where, what time, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to getting some really good constructive feedback, and we're going to see We're gonna let the proof be in the pudding. See what you are, what people think about it, and I feel pretty good about it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the whole world thinks about it. But for right now, the topic: prayer, faith, and my bullet points here. I've got some things I want to challenge you with, um, and see what you think. See if they're rational to you. People people take for granted. I think how they say, "Oh, you just pray about it," or "I'll pray for you," or "Take it to the Lord in prayer," and these kind of things. People a lot of times, I personally think, and I'm not right about everything, but I think people take prayer for granted more than they realize they do. They take the Creator for granted far more than they realize they do. And people are so selfish and spoiled sometimes that they think that prayer is a convenience. It's like when I want it, I want it. And when I don't, and I expect it to be there and I expect it to be like how I expect it to be, how I want it to be. I'm not trying to judge nobody. Who am I to judge somebody? But, I see people that say, I don't want this person right here to pray for me. I don't want that person right there to pray for me. And I understand that. I relate to that. There's some people you don't want call themselves praying for you. You know, you never know what they're praying for because so many people are phony. But let's just look at prayer. If you don't know what prayer is, I'm not going to try to define that for you. I expect most people understand what prayer is, and if you don't, Google it. Okay, but let's look at prayer. When you pray for something, how much faith do you really have in your prayer? Okay, how much faith do you really have in your prayer? I'm a living witness that I prayed for things and I still pray for things. And sometimes I pray for the same thing over and over again because certain things have yet to manifest. And as I'm producing this movie, for example, people always tell me, Barry, just stay prayed up, just trust God and just pray. Ask God to give you the desires of your heart and He will, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? A lot of times people say stuff like that because they want to feel like you listen to them. They want to feel like they accomplished something by telling you or suggesting to you or inspiring or encouraging you to pray. Sometimes it makes some people feel good about themselves in some kind of way. And it's not always, that conversation is not always about you, but sometimes it's really more about them. They just make it sound like it's about you. So that's why wisdom has to be a big part of um, your process when you're having conversations and engaging with people when you're talking about prayer and that kind of thing, because prayer is not something that I take for granted. Um, but I challenge some friends of mine with these bullet points that I have, and I want to see what you all think about it. If you want to, leave me a comment and tell me what you think. One of the first things I challenge some people with in terms of prayer and faith in that prayer um, is this. If you know me, like if you really know me, you know that I'm a creative and I have a very creative way that I think of things, but I try to be realistic as much as I possibly can also, especially when it comes down to something that is it has to do with prayer and my walk with and my covenant and my relationship with the Most High. Those things I don't play with. I might play with some of y'all sometime, but it comes down to God, the creator of everything. I don't play with him, even though I know that he gave us all a sense of humor. And I know that he loves comedy. But think about this. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of people like me that you pray for something and you pray for it again and again and again and again. But again, my challenge to you is how much faith do you have in your prayer? And I'm going to give you these bullet points here as just something to think about, not to offend nobody, but just to think about. So don't uh, respond to me with all of this energy about this and this. This is just to challenge you. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, you're entitled to that. Okay, but I just want to challenge people to really think about something that is very simple. Because I heard a preacher say one time that if you ask God for something, you have to trust Him that He will give it to you, and you don't have to keep asking Him over and over again. And that sounds good. I don't know how accurate that is because God knows I've I've asked Him for the same things, the same the very same things numerous times, So I don't know about that. But think about this. Most people that I came up around, when we get ready to eat, we bless our food. Lord, bless this food that it be nourishing for our bodies, da 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 da, right? And a lot of that is out of tradition. Think about it now. A lot of that is out of tradition. It's just what we do. A lot of times a guy date a woman for the first time or however many times sometime throughout the relationship, and it is customary, it is traditional to bless the food before you eat, right? So for me, when I go out to eat, if I eat at someone else's house, which I don't do a lot of, but I have relatives that I trust them, and one or two friends that I trust them, and I eat at their home whenever that occasion is, and I bless my food. But my food, when I buy my food, when I go to grocery store and I buy my groceries, my food, my drink, I bless it right then. I say, Lord, bless this food, da 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 da. And as I ask him to bless it, that it will be nourishing from not only my body, but should I share it with somebody, with them. I trust in that. I trust in that. I have faith in that prayer. I have faith in my blessings. So once I buy my groceries and I put them in my house and I pray over it, when I go to eat it, I don't care if it's a week later, a month later, I've already asked God to bless it. And I trust that. I have faith in it. I don't have to sit down and say my blessing every time I eat, because I trust that when I bought it and brought it home and asked him to sanctify it, I trust that he did it. But a lot of people, they're different. Every single time that they eat, you know, they say they're blessed, and ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm not criticizing it. I'm just saying that um I don't once I buy my groceries, before I eat anything, but when I get them in, when I get my groceries in my house and I'm getting ready to put my groceries up, I ask God to bless my food right then, and then I put it up. And so whenever I get around to eating whatever, I trust that He's already blessed it. What do you think? Rational? Maybe not for you. I get it. No problem. The other thing is, when I was a kid, um, we were taught when you pray, you get down on your knees. That's what grandma taught me. Nothing wrong with that. Every now and then I still do that. When you get older, you don't get on your knees so much. Your knees don't want you getting down on them so much. hmm Young people, like they told us, keep on living. But I remember years ago, I saw this man. He had a, every time I saw this man, he was in African attire. He seemed like he was a man from Africa. Like he seemed like he was authentic. And I would see him around town periodically. And sometime I would be at the grocery store and I would come out and I would see this man sitting behind the steering wheel right in front of the grocery store and he'd be praying. And a couple other places I've seen him and the man would just be praying like he took time out to pray right then. Now he's sitting behind the steering wheel of his car. And the way I looked at it, this man was deep. He was in his prayer. He was talking to his God and he was genuine. He was all the way in it. And that taught me something. And as time would go by, I got to where I started doing it more and more. I can be driving somewhere. I could be sitting down somewhere. I could be anywhere, at home or away from home. I could be around other people and I could say a prayer to God and I trust that. I have faith in it. So I don't always have to be down on my knees. But for some people, they still think that you got to be on your knees in order for your prayer to work. To each his own. I'm just saying, I'm just challenging you with some things to think about. Comment, tell me what you think. Another thing I can remember times I've been in churches and they do an altar call. And I remember this one situation where pastor extended the altar call and, you know, me, I didn't want to go down to the altar. And it looked like I was the only one sitting in the pews. Everybody else had went down, to the altar. In fact, the altar then was so big, so everybody technically was not at the altar. Some people were behind the people. It was like rows of people, and the people all the way to the altar, then the people behind them, then the people behind them. And I guess that's still considered being at the altar. But I was sitting there thinking to myself, if God is inside this place, as they always say, as we always say, he's in the whole place. He's omnipresent. He's everywhere. Is there more God at the altar than right here where I'm sitting? Am I going to get more or less of God from being down at the altar than being sitting right here in the pews? I come to my own conclusion, and yes, I have done altar calls before, but once I got that part figured out, I feel like I admire people that go to the altar. I ain't got nothing to do with it, whether you go to the altar or not. But I feel like I can sit right where I am at, and God is right there with me, and He will listen and hear my prayers right where I'm at, and He will have His hand on me and my prayers right where I'm at. In fact, right now, I play piano for the church, and I'm in the choir stand all the time, and I'm playing the music while the pastor is praying for people, and God is with me right there. And nobody questions, like you get these people that's so deep that they say, well, if you do an altar call, you need to come down and do this. Well, what about the choir members? What about the musicians who are playing the music? Oh, we get a free pass, huh? You see how man makes up rules? You see how man this decides about how he wants things to be? And some of that to me is just not divine. It's just not divine. If there's a homeless person or somebody or a person, they don't have to be homeless. Let's say they're just sitting outside the church and they can hear the service that's going on inside. I really think God is with them just as much as He's with the people that's on the inside. You know, so um, you know, I just see people just get so deep about these kinds of things, you know, and and I don't I don't want to have them kind of conversations with people because Sometimes you can have conversations with people that you have a high regard for, that you care about, and a conversation like this could interfere with the relationship, like permanently. So I tend to avoid it. But recently I was talking with a couple of friends of mine about these very uh, bullet points that I'm making here, um, and I just thought that I would put it out there today because see, when I do this podcast here, when I when I say things, people are so unique, and for every person that is turned off by something that I say, there's another person that appreciates it, and there's always somebody that considers it and may not buy into it. But either way you look at it, there's personal growth that comes out of it, you know? And so, you know, for me personally, I had to reach a point of maturity within myself as a man, as a person who, like, I need to talk to God. I do. All the stuff that I do with my life, and I gotta have him, I gotta hold on to his hand everywhere that I go. So I got my own relationship with the Most High. And that's the one thing that I don't play with. I might have a conversation with people sometimes, and I don't really want to go all in on the conversation. So I kind of stay as close to the neutral zone as I possibly can. And I just don't bite a whole bunch of stuff that's going on. And so I'm not 100 every time with everybody. But when it comes down to the Lord, when it comes down to the person who I, however he is, we call him God, Lord, Savior, the Creator, whatever your words are. Somebody's responsible for each and everything that we can comprehend and sense, and that's the one source that I just don't play with. I don't play with him at all because I actually fear him. That's a force and a power that's full of love, but can also shut me down just like that, you know. And so I take that very serious. So when I pray, I've learned that it is important for me to do some certain things right with my life to the best of my ability, to the best of my wisdom and my experience, to the best of that. So when it comes to my prayer, I got to do the best that I can with that because, like, when I talk to God, I ain't playing. I'm like serious. I genuinely want Him to. I want Him to lead me and guide me and bless me. Um, my good friend Sarah over in the United Kingdom, I think that's where Sarah is. I really appreciate Sarah. Sometimes, few times we've talked on the phone, and she's messaging. Some of the some of what she says. I hope y'all will take the time to look at her comments, and I invite y'all to look at to make comments yourself because when you make comments, there will be people that will read them, and we always grow. We always grow. It's not about agreeing all the time. A lot of times it's about information, it's about the inspiration and the encouragement that comes out of it. That's my time. I um I I hope that I've said something to make a difference with somebody when it comes down to prayer. How much faith do you really have? You know, when you pray, if you don't if you don't have full confidence are full of faith in your prayer, are you really serious about your prayer being answered? I mean, is that something you want to cheat? Just think about it. So, you know, um, sometimes maybe we shouldn't be trying to get so deep. Sometimes we just should just practice staying in the natural. You pray for something. Who are you praying to? How much do you trust that source? How much do you believe in that source? And when that source puts something in your spirit that makes sense to your day-to-day functioning, when somebody else comes and tells you something that doesn't line up with that, maybe it's time to pray again. I don't know. But I think that I'm okay when it comes to that. I want to thank y'all for touching in with me. Um, hello, Greg, Monique. Uh, Seemed like I saw Chris over there. Sarah, I hope to talk to you again soon, my good friend. My cousin Sheila is with me. And it looks like my nephew, Chris. What's up, nephew? Love you, man. I don't see you often, but I know we love each other permanently, man. It's good to see you touching in with me. Um, um, I just want to remind y'all as I leave, man, I'm a creative. I write, direct, produce, I act. I do the whole shebang. If you know me, you already know that. And so I put a lot of work into my new comedy movie, SheDaPlaya. I really would love to have your support. And you can support me quite easily by going to bbingin.com, bbingn.com, and just subscribe for $2.99. And you get to watch everything that I have for 30 days, 24/7. On Christmas Day, I'm going to release SheDaPlaya on bbingin. And I just ask that you will support me. Okay. Thanks again for touching in with me this week. I come to you every week with conversations from a masterful raconteur. I'm yours truly, Florida's own Barry S. McLeod. Truly the right kind of different. Y'all stay blessed.